Well, hello everybody. I don't usually get this kind of audience, so thanks to Netnod for making such a great event, and I'm happy so many of us at DNS OARC could crash your event and bump the numbers. So I'm here to talk a little bit about something called DNS Week, which I would like to say was a very well-researched and thought-out concept, which is a lucky alignment of stars, and of course, a lot of hard work behind. So we are in Stockholm this week, and as a result of Netnod having their meeting and us partnering with Netnod to deliver DNS OARC 45, we thought it judicial to add some events to this, and this turned into DNS Week. And I would say Stockholm is DNS City, and some people from Amsterdam said, no, we are DNS City. And I said, well, no, but not this week. So here we are. So, of course, it's always DNS, has to be, and just very happy to be here this week. So thanks everyone who attended OARCs. Why do we call it DNS Week? Last week, Wednesday already, there was a Center R&D meeting. I know there's probably quite a few Center members here. For those of you who are not familiar with Center, I'll explain that. And that was followed by a well-deserved day of rest on the 3rd and some meetings. And then we had a DNS hackathon on the Saturday and Sunday, where 25 people or so attended, followed by some community meetings in the OARC. And for those of you who know what OARC is, then you know what the acronym stands for. Otherwise, I'll explain that. And then finally, OARC 45, the event that I wish I could say everyone came to Stockholm for, but obviously the pinnacle of this week is the Netnod Tech meeting with at least over 300 people attending, as I was told. So that's a really big success as well. The Center R&D meeting, so to recap a little bit, it's a members-only meeting, so what's happens at Center stays at Center, but I can tell you a little bit about the organization and what it stands for. Center is a member organization for CCTLDs, mostly European, although there are also a few non-European TLDs from across the Pacific and across the Atlantic, and some partner organization like OARC. We are, what do you call it, member organization at each other's meetings, and we had I think more than 40 people attended this meeting, and it was usually when you're having a CCTLD registry industry meeting, you'll be talking more about domain names and registration and things like that. But this is an eminently technical meeting, and it was almost 2 days of technical presentations with a focus on DNS, registry operations, networking, privacy. It was really cool. Really enjoyed it. Really well organized by Internet Stiftelsen as the host, and there were talks on DNS to peer. How to collect data with privacy in mind, DNS queries with privacy in mind. Some talks about fast flux DNS registrations, Anycast, recurring topic, very much this week, and some discussion on the QUIC protocol, and of course, talk about how would DNS ride on top of QUIC and those things. So that was really good. That was really well hosted, and we had a great time. Then, after a day of rest, we had a DNS hackathon. So this was the really, I would say, Internet Stiftelsen's idea to come up with this, and at that point we only had Netnod and OARC in mind, and then we thought, okay, could we do something more? And then Internet Stiftelsen, Christian Ehrman said, hey, why don't we have a hackathon? I said, that's a great idea. And then suddenly we had 3 events, and then it dawned on me, oh, there's also a Center meeting. Let's, this is DNS Week, isn't it? And we've been talking about this for a while, so I'm super happy that we're able to pull it off. Thanks to everybody. The hackathon this year is the second one in Stockholm already, because we had another hackathon in March, just prior to the Netnod meeting in March, which was also well attended. And this hackathon was partly a follow-up, but also some new projects. There were different topics being worked on, and we had 20-ish plus organizers, participants organized in 9 teams working on topics such as DNS error reporting, it's all there, working on a new version of RPZ, UTC stamp, resolver auth estimates on latency, and extending Check My DNS, which OARC maintains for looking at surf stale, things like that. So really very lots of enthusiasm, a great team, lots of people motivated to do this. And we also have a repository you can look at for some of the code. Not all of it is there yet, but we're trying to pull it in over the coming days to encourage some updates on that. And hopefully it'll continue. This is not just a one weekend effort. Obviously, it's the start of several initiatives in this particular case for these projects. Most importantly, we made T-shirts, and that was very cool. So I got one, right? It's like, come on, it's always DNS, yes. Yeah. And the cool thing was, like, you could bring your own design, you could make your own design. Some people in this room might be wearing it. We've got DNS Troublemaker, we've got Always the DNS, we got lots of cool things. I mean, everybody made their design, that was nice. I saw several people putting an OARC logo on their t-shirt, and I was like, yes! So branding works. And yeah, it was just really, really fun. So thanks for Internet Stiftelsen making that happen. Fantastic, just atmosphere, way too much candy. But I just cannot, I just love skumbiler, so I had to eat many of those. And yeah, it was just fantastic. So thanks again, Internet Stiftelsen, and yeah, top notch. Following that, after we also had a fantastic dinner, thank you so much. We also had some side meetings the next day. So what did we do? Several of us in the OARC community decided that we should arrange for some community meetings and invite people to host their own meetings, and we'd say we will make space available, or rather Internet Stiftelsen is making meeting space available for you to hold your own meetings. And so we had 3 meetings, one on DNS operational best practices, which is a kind of a kickoff effort to find out, is there a demand for providing a more curated, centralized, referenced set of DNS operational best practices, and for whose benefit, which is another thing. When we write documents, who is our audience? That's something we sometimes don't always think about. Deleg, which is I would say, up-and-coming standard for improving delegation, ways of delegating domains, had a working group as well, and I think there was about 18-ish people in the BCP initiative and 10 or so in the Deleg, and then there was a work group on DS automation from the DS working group, I guess, and there was another 10 people there. So that was fantastic. Again, Internet Stiftelsen, thank you very much for making space available. It was great to be there and borrow your coffee machine and just hang out in some really nice offices. Finally, the event for which I am primarily responsible, OARC 45, which, as the name say, is the 45th edition. We were just talking about Netnod having 20 years of meetings. OARC is just a little bit ahead of the curve. We started in 2004. Those were small meetings. They've been growing as well, so it's kind of fun to see the evolution of other organizations' meetings and the community and the parallels and some of the people. Hearing Liman being congratulated for having 25 years at Netnod and seeing that, wow, this is all the people who started OARC. They were all there at the beginning. And so OARC is the DNS Operation Analysis and Research Center, with one of the worst acronyms ever in the industry. At the same time, the cool thing is when somebody shows up at a social and say, I'm from OARC, they don't need a badge. You've already have the code word. So if you remember it, you belong. And we had I would say the highest attendance ever since the pandemic. I know we've had events probably higher than this, but in person, we've had 150 people in person. No, my staff is probably going to say, no, we only had 147, but okay. 30 remote participants, 23 talks over 2 days, and the submission level was fantastic. We had something like 900 minutes of submissions for 450 of content slots. So we had to say, no thank you, not this time, for roughly half of the content. And the joke was, and we know it's not AI generated, which was kind of cool. It was all legitimate submissions from talented researchers and operators. And we had 7 lightning talks, which are always submitted during the conference. So this is nice. People come up with ideas on very different topics. I'm not even going to try and sum it up, but we had, Anycast, DNS privacy. We had a really interesting theatrical expression about DNSSEC. I'll leave it to that. You can check all the proceedings online. OARC makes all its videos, video recordings of its presentations available online. Should happen soon. We had talks on, JRoot, you name it, everything DNS related was there. We even had 2 talks on DNS abuse, one on domain name abuse and one on DNS abuse. So it was actually covered, both ends of the spectrum. It was really, really good. The room was packed. We had a great time. We ordered good weather. We got it, so we're really happy. Thank you so much, Stockholm, for having sun this week. And yeah, it doesn't get better than this. And of course, today, Netnod Tech, this is very well attended. 70 participants from OARC, I think, signed up to this event. Probably many more also did so without the provided link, so we actually don't know how many OARC participants here there are, but from the questions that Björn got earlier, I can hear that there's quite a few DNS people in the room. Great program, good DNS presentation. It was great to see Curtis here, reminding us of the importance of, who keeps the internet running and what our mission is and what we have to continue doing. As Karen was saying, in times of peace, in times of war, strange times we live in, but I think more than anything, collaboration is important. So, and one thing we did have a lot of social engagements, lots of good meetings, lots of dinners, way too much kanelbuller. I love it. I live in Copenhagen, so we're familiar with those, but they're kind of better here, so yeah, don't say it. So yeah, and we learned about fika and what it means. I think we have something similar in Denmark as well. It just doesn't have a word for it. But it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. So I want to say thank you to Netnod for, of course, being our host, Joanna for helping us find a venue, for finding a contract, and of course Karen and the rest of the folks at Netnod for just making this happen. Internet Stiftelsen, thank you so much for the support and the sponsorships, and then of course Christian for doing a lot of logistics, and the good folks at Center for always making us feel like partners. We have many members in common, and we have a lot of DNS, more in DNS in common than we think, and it is the cream in the Oreo cookie sandwich of the internet. If that's a really bad analogy, I'm happy because you'll remember it. Without the DNS, there is no internet, and I think more than ever, one thing I want to remember, or rather mention, at the OARC meeting, we had 31 first-time attendees out of 150 people. Does that sound big? It's a record. And a lot of those people were actually not near retirement age. That's another win for us. And some of them were another gender than male, which is another win. So I'm super happy, lots of talent, lots of promising up-and-coming stars, I would say, of our community that have the energy and the dynamics we need to bring this forward, to realize that we can infuse old protocols with fresh enthusiasm, that just because the internet's infrastructure is well-oiled and somewhat archaic in some respects, we're bringing fresh eyes to it and new talent, and this is fantastic. We love it. This is really what we live for. So again, thank you for all the collaboration. Partnerships are more important than ever, working across the industry, reaching out to other members of our industry that don't necessarily know what we do, trying to build bridges. More than ever, we've seen corporate DNS making its way into our community, realizing that they can't just stay isolated, they need to be integrated. Very important. And thanks to our members in the DNS community in general, because everybody's building the internet every day. We do our little piece, we don't think about it, but every day we make it better, and we make it more secure, more resilient. So that's it. That's all I had to say. So this was the first DNS week. It won't be the last, that's for sure. Thank you.